You are the underground man, you just don't know it yet. Every night you scroll through your phone, paralyzed by infinite choices, making none. You overthink every conversation, you replay every mistake, you craft brilliant arguments in your head that you never speak aloud. And in 1864, a Russian writer who had stared down a firing squad created a character so disturbing, so painfully honest, that readers begged him to stop. Despite Paralysis Prophecy, his name was Fyodor Dostoevsky, and the character he unleashed upon the world was not a villain, not a hero, but something far worse. A mirror that reflects the darkest corners of the modern soul. Today we are going to descend into the underground. We are going to meet the man who thinks too much and does too little. And by the end, you will understand why Dostoevsky did not write fiction. As the philosopher Lev Shestov once observed, Dostoevsky did not describe life, he prophesied it. He wrote a prophecy about you. Imagine a man who has locked himself in a room for 20 years, not because he has to, but because the world disgusts him. And yet, what disgusts him more than anything is himself. This is the underground man. Dostoevsky introduces him with one of the most unsettling opening lines in all of literature. I am a sick man, I am a spiteful man. I am an unattractive man. No grand entrance, no heroic declaration, just raw, unfiltered self-hatred. He's a retired civil servant living in a cramped apartment in St. Petersburg. He has no friends, no purpose, no ambition, and he is fully aware of all of it. Aware. That is what makes him terrifying. He is not ignorant of his condition. He sees it with painful clarity. He knows he is wasting his life. He knows he is pushing people away. He knows he is rotting in that room. And he does absolutely nothing to change it. Sound familiar? Because Dostoevsky did not create this character for 19th century Russia. He created him for right now. But to understand why, we need to understand the mind that created him. Before there was the underground man, there was Dostoevsky himself standing before a firing squad. In 1849, the Russian government arrested him for participating in a circle of intellectuals who dared to discuss forbidden ideas. He was sentenced to death. They marched him to the execution ground. They raised the rifles. And then, at the last possible second, a messenger arrived with a pardon from the Tsar. It was staged. The entire execution was a psychological torture designed to break him, and it worked. Dostoevsky was sent to a Siberian labor camp for 4 years. He slept alongside murderers. He was beaten. He was stripped of everything that made him human. Broken, reborn, transformed. But something happened in that prison, as Dostoevsky himself later wrote. The soul is healed by being with children. He discovered that suffering was not the enemy. The enemy was something far more dangerous. The enemy was consciousness without action. The enemy was a mind that could see everything but do nothing. If this revelation is shaking something loose inside you, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the depths of human wisdom with me. Because what comes next is where it gets truly personal. Here is the most disturbing thing about the underground man. He does not want to get better. He has a toothache. A terrible, excruciating toothache, and does he go to the dentist? No, he moans, he groans, he makes everyone around him miserable, and he enjoys it. He takes pleasure in his own suffering because it is the only form of power he has left. This is what Dostoevsky understood about human nature that most people cannot accept. Sometimes people choose suffering not despite themselves, but because of themselves. The underground man has turned spite into an identity. He hates the people who are happy. He hates the people who are successful, but most of all, he hates himself for hating them. Spite, envy, self-hate. Think about the last time you saw someone succeed on social media. Did you feel genuinely happy for them, or did something dark twist inside your stomach, as Dostoevsky wrote with surgical precision? Every man has reminiscences which he would not tell to everyone, but only to his friends. The underground man tells us everything, and that is what makes him unbearable. Because we recognize ourselves in every word he speaks, but his spite is only the beginning of something far darker. The underground man has a brilliant mind. He can analyze any situation from every possible angle. He can deconstruct any argument, predict any outcome, and identify every flaw in every plan. Paralyzed. And that is precisely his curse. He thinks so much that he cannot act. He sees so clearly that he cannot move. Dostoevsky captured this with devastating honesty. The more conscious I was of goodness, and of all that was sublime and beautiful, the more deeply I sank into the mire. This is the paradox Dostoevsky identified 160 years before modern psychology had a name for it. Today, we call it analysis paralysis. The more options you see, the fewer decisions you make. The underground man stands at crossroads and examines every path so thoroughly that he never takes a single step. Think, analyze, freeze. How many times have you spent hours researching the perfect decision only to make no decision at all? How many emails have you rewritten 17 times before deleting them entirely? The underground man would understand. He would understand perfectly, and he would hate you for it because you remind him of himself. But this paralysis leads somewhere even more terrifying. In 1863, a writer named Nikolai Chernyshevsky published a novel called What Is to Be Done. It argued that human beings were rational creatures who would naturally build a perfect society if given the right conditions. Dostoevsky read it and was horrified, not because the ideas were wrong in theory, but because Dostoevsky understood something about human beings that Chernyshevsky could never accept. Human beings do not want what is good for them, they want what proves they are free. The underground man declares war on the idea that 2 + 2 = 4, not because he cannot do mathematics, but because accepting it means accepting that his entire existence can be calculated and predicted. As he screams from his underground, "Twice 2 makes 4 is no longer life, gentlemen, but the beginning of death." Freedom, chaos, defiance. He would rather suffer freely than be happy inside a formula, and here is where Dostoevsky's genius becomes prophecy. Because today we live inside the algorithm. Every recommendation is calculated, every choice is predicted. And deep down, something inside you rebels against being so perfectly understood. That rebellion is the voice of the underground man, and it is getting louder. And then Dostoevsky does something devastating. He gives the underground man a chance at redemption. Her name is Liza. She is a young woman trapped in a life of suffering, and when the underground man meets her, something extraordinary happens. He speaks to her with genuine compassion. He tells her she deserves better. He paints a vision of a beautiful life she could have. And for one single moment, he becomes truly human. Liza believes him. She comes to him. She offers him the one thing he has never received: love. And what does he do? He destroys her. He humiliates her. He crushes the only person who ever saw something good in him. Why? Because accepting love would mean accepting that he is worthy of it, and the underground man cannot accept that. As Dostoevsky writes in one of the most heartbreaking lines ever put to paper, "I could not even become an insect. I tell you solemnly that I wanted to become an insect many times." He would rather be nothing than risk being something and failing. How many opportunities have you sabotaged because you were terrified of your own potential? But this self-destruction reveals an even deeper pattern. Now here is where Dostoevsky's prophecy becomes terrifyingly real. The underground man spends his days trapped in cycles of overthinking. He constructs elaborate fantasies in his head. He imagines grand confrontations where he emerges victorious. He rehearses conversations that never happen. Scroll, imagine, repeat. Replace his cramped apartment with your bedroom at 2 in the morning. Replace his bitter monologues with your internal dialogues during a hot shower. Replace his fantasies of social triumph with your daydreams of the perfect comeback you never delivered. The underground man did not need a smartphone to live vicariously. He was already doing it. 1. He overthinks every social interaction. 2. He replays embarrassing moments obsessively. 3. He fantasizes instead of acting. 4. He chooses comfortable suffering over risky growth. Modern psychologist Dr. Barry Schwartz identified what he calls the paradox of choice. The more freedom we have, the more paralyzed we become. As Schwartz concluded, learning to choose is hard, learning to choose well is harder, and learning to choose well in a world of unlimited possibilities is harder still. Dostoevsky saw this coming, and what he saw next was even more disturbing. The underground man's apartment has evolved. Today it is your phone screen, your curated feed, your anonymous comments section. Underground. Think about it, social media has created millions of underground men and women, people who observe life through screens but never participate in it, people who craft perfect online personas while their real lives crumble, people who argue brilliantly in comment sections but but cannot maintain a single real relationship. Watch, comment, never live. The underground man would have been a master of Twitter. He would have written devastating threads at 3 in the morning. He would have accumulated thousands of followers who admired his intellect. And he would still be utterly, completely, devastatingly alone. We have built a civilization that rewards the underground man's worst instincts. As the philosopher Byung-Chul Han observed about our digital age, we live in a society of tiredness and exhaustion, produced by an excess of positivity. We are drowning in information and starving for wisdom. We are connected to everyone and intimate with no one. Dostoevsky predicted this isolation, but he also pointed towards something else. So is there hope? Can you escape the underground? Dostoevsky believed the answer was yes, but not in the way you might expect. He did not prescribe positive thinking. He did not offer 5 easy steps. Instead, he offered something far more radical. In his later works, Dostoevsky showed that the way out of the underground is through genuine human connection. Not the curated kind, not the transactional kind, the terrifying, vulnerable, humiliating kind, the kind where you risk being rejected, the kind where you say what you actually think instead of what sounds clever. The exit from the underground is not through the mind, but through the heart. Risk, connect, live. As Dostoevsky wrote in The Brothers Karamazov, the novel he considered his masterpiece. What is hell? I maintain that it is the suffering of being unable to love. The underground man's true prison was never his apartment. It was his refusal to be vulnerable, his refusal to act imperfectly, his refusal to step into the world and risk being ordinary. And this brings us to the most important question of all. Right now, as you watch this, the underground man is whispering in your ear. He is telling you that you are different, that you are special, that you see the world more clearly than everyone else. And that is exactly the lie that keeps you trapped. Dostoevsky did not write notes from underground to entertain you. He wrote it to confront you. Every excuse you make for not starting that project, every relationship you sabotage because vulnerability terrifies you, every night you spend analyzing your life instead of living it. Excuse, sabotage, paralysis. That is the underground, and Dostoevsky is standing at the entrance, holding up a lantern, saying you do not have to stay here. Taking a new step, uttering a new word, is what people fear most. The question is not whether you recognize yourself in the underground man. The question is what you do about it. One imperfect action is worth 1,000 brilliant analyses. One awkward conversation is worth 1,000 rehearsed monologues. One real moment is worth a lifetime underground. The exit has always been open. You just have to stop thinking and walk through it. If you made it this far, comment notes from below to prove you are no longer content in the underground. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well. Dostoevsky created the underground man as a warning that consciousness without action is a prison, that intelligence without courage is a curse, that seeing everything clearly and doing nothing about it is the deepest form of human suffering. See Act Live. 160 years later, that warning has become our reality. We are a civilization of underground people staring at glowing screens in dark rooms, watching other people live the lives we are too afraid to attempt. But the fact that you are still here, still listening, tells me something important about you. You are not content underground, and that restlessness is your greatest strength. Use it, step into the light, act imperfectly, love clumsily, live loudly, because the alternative is not safety. The alternative is the underground, and as Dostoevsky knew better than anyone, the soul is healed by being with children. Meaning is found not in perfection, but in connection. If you made it this far, comment notes from below if you are ready to leave the underground behind. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well.